I died because a warehouse shelf chose me as its final boss. When I opened my eyes again, a blind god was staring straight at me. That was strange because the statue in front of me had a strip of black stone carved across both eyes. The second strange thing was the laughter. 300 students stood inside the Hall of Patrons while I stood alone on a white testing circle. A crystal pillar announced that my mana capacity was 11, my body rating was 9, and my synchronization score was 4. The last number made the hall explode. A boy near the front laughed so hard that he bent over. His name was Roland. The ranking board behind him showed his portrait in 7th place. Mine appeared at the bottom, 327th. The crystal voice added that my projected combat rank was F. Roland wiped his eyes. Can we move him out of the main course now? If the inspectors see that score, they will think the academy started accepting furniture. More laughter rolled through the hall. In my old life, I had been crushed by furniture, so I could not even argue with the comparison. The examiner, a narrow man named Jory, checked the paper in his hand. Aaron, your admission came through the emergency reincarnate clause. It guarantees one fair evaluation. You have received it. He pointed toward the side doors. After patron selection, you will be transferred to auxiliary study. No combat dormitory, no sponsored meals, no main training yard. The board changed again. My monthly allowance fell from 3 gold to 30 copper. That number hurt more than the laughter. I owned 1 gray uniform, 1 pair of boots, and 7 copper coins. I raised a hand. If I receive a combat patron, does the transfer change? Roland answered before Jory could. A combat patron would need to be blind. The hall laughed again. Then every candle went out. 49 patron statues began to shine. A bronze war god answered Roland with red fire. His compatibility reached 93% and the galleries roared. Then my name was called. I stepped between the statues. Nothing happened. 5 breaths passed. Jory lowered his paper. No major patron has responded. A weak light appeared at the back wall. The last statue was short, cracked, and dusty. Both stone eyes were hidden behind a black band. The blind god. No active temple in the city. No recorded A-rank follower in more than a century. The board chimed. My patron was registered. Compatibility unknown. Combat blessing not detected. Historical rank obsolete. Roland stared at the statue. I was joking. This time even some teachers laughed. Jory rubbed his forehead. The academy recognizes all legal patrons, but the blind god has no battle doctrine. Your transfer stands. The statue did not move. A voice appeared inside my head. You looked at everyone except yourself. I froze. Look properly. Nothing floated in front of me. No window appeared. I simply looked at Jory and knew. Official level 38. True level 34. Class silver measure. Natural potential A. Then I looked at Roland. The board showed level 22. The truth was level 13. True power 91. True mana 74. Class ash spear. Potential B. Pressure stabbed behind my eyes. 4 of my 11 mana vanished at once. So there was a price. I had one simple cheat. Everyone else trusted crystals, certificates, family money, and temporary enhancement. I could see the person underneath all of it. Roland's official level was 22. His real level was 13. Jory noticed my expression. Do you have something to say? No. Roland grinned. That is the first intelligent thing he has done today. I stepped away from the statue. A small black coin dropped from its cracked hand into my palm. The board announced my class. Eye of Truth. No attack rating. No defense rating. No known combat skill. My place remained 327th. Roland pointed at the board. Perfect. He can look at us while we win. I put the coin into my pocket and smiled. That worried him more than an insult would have. My new dormitory was an old storage building behind the laundry yard. The room had 1 bed, 1 chair, and a wardrobe leaning to the left. I stared at the wardrobe. I already died this way once. Do not try anything. Someone laughed from the doorway. A girl stood there holding two bowls. Her dark hair was tied behind her neck and one sleeve of her uniform had been repaired twice. "I heard what happened," she said. "The furniture comparison was cruel." I considered it accurate. She handed me a bowl. "My name is Elin. They moved me here last month." The stew was thin, but it was hot. Soft potatoes, 3 pieces of meat, onion, salt. I had been dead that morning. Warm food created perspective. Elin sat on the chair. "Your class sounds useful." "Everyone else disagrees. Everyone else thinks I am a failed lantern mage." She raised one finger. A pale thread of light appeared, shook, and vanished. "Official level 5, mana 26, class weak lantern, rank 319. I had 7 mana left. Curiosity cost 4. The answer came. True level 5, true mana 26. Hidden class Star Threader. Potential SSS. I nearly dropped the bowl. Aelin frowned. "What?" "Your class is wrong." She stared at me. "The Academy sees weak lantern. I see Star Threader." Her smile disappeared. "That class does not exist." "Neither did mine this morning." "Potential?" SSS. For a moment she looked almost angry. People who had been told they were weak for long enough learned to distrust good news. So I gave her something she could test. "Your mana control is not the problem. You keep trying to make your light stay still. A thread is supposed to move." "How would you know?" "I do not. But your real class has the word thread in it." She looked at her hand. Then she created the pale light again and pulled her finger sideways. The light followed. Her eyes widened. She drew a circle. The thread made a perfect ring in the air. Elin stood so fast that the chair fell. She made another curve, then 3 connected loops. Her mana dropped from 26 to 21. The light lasted almost 20 seconds. Her previous record had been 4. She looked at me as if I had opened a door in a wall. "How?" I looked properly. The blind god whispered inside my head. "One true name is worth 100 false ranks." Elin practiced until her control reached 43 seconds. An hour later, my mana recovered enough to inspect myself. True level 4, power 32, mana 11, class Eye of Truth, potential unclear. I stared at the wall. Elin noticed. "Bad?" "I am weaker than the soup." "The soup had potatoes." "Exactly." The gift did not make me powerful. Good. I preferred a useful tool to a fake miracle. The next problem was money. Elin knew where auxiliary students bought discarded equipment. The Academy warehouse sold cracked practice gear every evening. A wooden sword cost 12 copper. A weighted vest with 1 torn strap cost 9. I owned 7. Elin placed 20 copper on the counter. "It is a loan." I did not ask. "That is why it is a loan and not a favor." I bought the sword and vest. Debt, 14 copper. Remaining wealth, 6 copper. My financial empire had begun. It looked very small. We trained behind the laundry building. I could not use my gift to grow stronger directly, but I could stop lying to myself about progress. My power was 32. After 40 minutes of strikes, it was still 32. After 6 trips up the hill carrying water buckets and another round of training, it became 33. 1 point. I almost celebrated. Then Roland arrived with 6 students. People like Roland could smell happiness from a great distance and considered it a personal insult. He looked at my wooden sword. "You are training here?" "Yes." "Why?" "I was afraid the grass had too much confidence." 2 of his friends laughed before remembering which side they were on. Roland's smile tightened. "The main course has a public calibration match tomorrow. Auxiliary students may challenge for 1 review place. I told Jory you might want it." "What is the fee?" 20 silver. He knew I had 6 copper. Then he held up a silver coin. "I will pay your fee. Survive 90 seconds against me, and you get reviewed." His friends grinned. "And if I knock you down?" I asked. Roland laughed. "I will give you 1 gold." 1 gold was 100 silver. Elin stepped closer. "Do not." I had enough recovered mana for 1 appraisal. True level 13, power 91, mana 74, stamina 68. His official power that morning had been 140. A medicinal smell came from his breath. The skin around his ears was still red. Temporary enhancer. His real strength was far below the academy score. Mine was still far below his. Truth did not punch people for me. But I did not need to beat him. I needed 1 knockdown. "Make it 2 gold, I said. Roland blinked. "You are rank 7th, I continued. I am 327th. If I am furniture, 2 gold is free money." Now his friends were listening very carefully. He could not refuse without looking afraid. "Fine. Say it loudly." His eyes narrowed. "Why?" "Witnesses." Roland raised his voice. "If Aaron knocks me down once tomorrow, I will pay him 2 gold." 6 students heard him. 3 laundry workers heard him. 2 kitchen assistants passing the yard heard him. Good. By breakfast the next morning, the entire academy knew. The public training yard had 500 seats. Almost every seat was full. Someone had written, "Furniture versus 7th rank" on the announcement board. Someone else had drawn a wardrobe beside my name. I respected the effort. Jory stood by the arena looking deeply unhappy. "This is calibration, not a gambling show. Aaron only needs to remain conscious for 90 seconds to qualify for review." Roland entered in polished red armor. I entered in my torn vest. The crowd laughed. Elin waited beside the fence with my wooden sword. I shook my head. "No weapon." Roland laughed louder. "Did the blind god take your common sense too?" The bell rang. His first punch clipped my shoulder and spun me around. Pain ran down my arm. The crowd roared. 5 seconds. He attacked again. I ran. For 20 seconds, I moved around the boundary and accepted glancing hits rather than 1 clean strike. Roland was faster and much stronger, but he was performing for the crowd. Every punch was large. Every step was dramatic. He wanted to crush the lowest student beautifully. At 30 seconds, his breathing changed. At 40, the red color around his ears deepened. At 50, something new happened. I did not spend mana, but because I had already appraised him, I felt his truth changing in real time. Power 91 became 87, then 84. That was the first hidden consequence of my gift. Once I had seen someone clearly, a false increase could not hide its collapse from me while they remained in sight. Roland did not know that. At 60 seconds, he shouted, "Stop running!" I stopped. The crowd made one huge sound. Roland charged. His right fist came straight at my face. I stepped inside instead of back. My shoulder struck his chest. My foot hooked behind his ankle. My power was only 33. His was above 80. But balance did not care about rankings. His heels slid. For 1 wonderful second, the 7th ranked student looked like a refrigerator with anger issues trying to dance. Then he fell. His back hit the sand. Silence covered the yard. Then Elin shouted, "He is down!" The arena exploded. Students stood on benches. A kitchen worker screamed that Roland owed me 2 gold. Others repeated it. Roland stared at the sky. I stepped back. The bell rang. Calibration conditions satisfied. Roland jumped up. "That was a trip!" "Yes." "That is not fighting!" "You fell in a fight." The crowd laughed at him now. Jory raised a hand. "Enough! The condition was clear. Aaron qualifies for review." Roland looked around and realized every witness was waiting. I held out my hand. 2 gold. The crowd started chanting, "Pay him! Pay him! Pay him!" Roland's jaw tightened. Then he slapped 2 gold coins into my palm. The noise became deafening. My wealth jumped from 6 copper to 2 gold and 6 copper. My level rose from 4 to 5 after the recognized higher level encounter. My power rose from 33 to 37. Before noon, my public place moved from 327th to 301st. The change was only 26 places, but the board drew a crowd anyway. Students kept pointing at the old match result beside my name. Some argued that Roland had slipped. Others answered that a slip still counted when 500 people watched it happen. One first-year asked me quietly whether the blind god had given me a secret combat technique. I told him no. He looked disappointed until I added that I had simply known when Roland was weaker than his public number. Then he looked at the ranking board as if it had personally insulted him. Strength, money, status. All three had moved forward. I paid Elin back 14 copper immediately. Then I spent 12 silver on roasted chicken. She stared at the plate. 12 silver? I nearly got punched through a fence. That does not make chicken cheaper. It makes chicken necessary. The skin was crisp. Hot fat soaked into roasted onions under the meat. Thick bread absorbed the salt and juices at the bottom of the plate. For almost a minute, neither of us spoke. Then Elin raised one finger under the table. A thread of light moved around her knuckles like a ribbon. Her control record had reached 1 minute and 12 seconds. Her official rank had not changed. Her true control had. We finished the chicken while the dining hall buzzed with the story of Roland falling. Then the academy bells rang. A new notice appeared on every public board. The annual team tournament registration had opened early. 4 students per team. Minimum combined academy rating C. Auxiliary students required special approval. A final line had been added in red ink. Followers of unclassified patrons required direct evaluation by jury. Elin read it twice.
He changed the rule. Yes. For you. Yes. At the far end of the dining hall, Jory stood beside the doorway and met my eyes. Then he smiled. The blind god whispered inside my head. The first lie was a boy. The second lie wore an office. The next morning, Jory made me wait outside his office long enough for half the ranking hall to see me. Elin sat beside me eating an apple. You know he is doing this on purpose. Yes. Does it bother you? The bench is comfortable. It has a nail sticking out. I have adjusted my standards. At last, Jory opened the door. The tournament requires 4 members, he said. You have 2. The combined academy rating must reach C, and the registration fee is 3 gold. We will qualify. He leaned back. If I approve F ranks and someone is crippled, the responsibility becomes mine. That was reasonable. It also was not the whole truth. Bring 4 students and 3 gold by noon, he continued. Then I will personally choose your qualification opponent. Elin stopped chewing. Personally? I want the test to be fair. Outside, she threw the apple core into a bin hard enough to make the lid jump. We have 3 hours, 2 missing fighters, and less than 3 gold. Then we should solve the problems in that order. The academy kept a public board for students below rank 200. Most people ignored it. I did not. If my gift was useful, the bottom of the board was not a graveyard. It was a market where nobody knew the value of what they were selling. I could not inspect everyone. My mana had risen from 11 to 13, but an unwilling deep look still cost 4. So I watched first. Then I saw Tavi carrying 6 training shields while 2 higher-ranked students walked behind him without helping. Tavi was broad, quiet, officially level 6, class heavy porter, rank 311. One shield slipped. He caught it with one hand before it hit a first-year student. His arms shook. His feet did not move. I spent 4 mana, true level 6, power 44, endurance 78. Hidden class Iron Pulse, potential SSS. Ellen saw my face. Another one? Yes. She looked at Tavi. You are telling him. Why me? Because when you told me, I thought you were insane. I have experience now. Tavi listened quietly.
You want me in a tournament team? He asked. Yes. I have never won a duel. Good. You have no expensive bad habits. Ellen coughed to hide a laugh. Tavi considered that. If you are lying, I lose one afternoon. If I am right, I lose many afternoons. That is the spirit. He joined. When I looked at him again after asking permission, the pressure behind my eyes was half as strong. 2 mana, not 4. I tested the same thing with Ellen. 2 again. That was the second hidden consequence of the Eye of Truth.
Truth was cheaper when the person wanted to be seen. The blind god had built consent into the mana economy. I respected that. We found our 4th member on a roof. Kiro was sleeping there. His official class was Quick Hand, his level 8, his rank 284. He woke when Tavi called and nearly rolled off the tiles. What do you want? A tournament fighter. Wrong roof. I think your class is hidden. That woke him properly. I explained the cost. Kiro jumped down and spread his arms. Fine, look. 2 mana vanished. True level 8, agility 81, hidden class mirror step, potential SS. His smile disappeared when I told him, my agility test says 52. Your real value is 81. He ran 3 steps up the wall, twisted in the air, and landed behind Tavi. Then he stared at his own hands. I have been training wrong for 6 years. Probably. I'm joining because I want to know who to blame. Welcome. We had 4 members. We still needed money. I had 1 gold, 88 silver, and 6 copper. Elin had 34 silver. Tavi had 11. Kiro had nothing. How do you have nothing? Elin asked him. I buy snacks. That cannot cost everything. You underestimate my commitment. The legal prediction booth beside the practice arenas solved our problem. Savi ran it. He grinned when he saw me. Furniture boy, you made me 12 silver yesterday. I am glad my suffering has economic value. One morning sparring match interested me. Rank 72 was heavily favored against rank 140. I appraised the favorite. Official level 19, true level 14, stamina 49, potential C. His hands trembled after each warm-up spell. The lower-ranked fighter was officially level 16 and moved like it. The odds paid 3 gold for 1. I placed 1 gold. Elin stared at the ticket. If we lose, we cannot register. Yes. Kiro looked at me. Can you say something inspiring? No. The match lasted 2 minutes and 8 seconds. The favorite opened with 3 large fire spells. By 1 minute, he was breathing through his mouth. By 1 minute 40, his hands shook. At 2 minutes, the lower-ranked fighter stepped through a weak flame and knocked him from the circle. The prediction booth erupted. Savi looked at my ticket. You knew. I knew 1 number was false. He paid 3 gold. After the booth fee, my profit was 1 gold and 70 silver. We reached Jory's office with 4 minutes left and placed exactly 3 gold on his desk. He looked at the coins as if they had betrayed him. You found the fee? Yes. And 4 members. Kiro was eating a pastry. Jory stared at him. Is that from the registration money? No, I have priorities. Jory stood. Fine. Arena 3, 30 minutes. The public board already showed our opponent, Vesa's team. A crowd gathered immediately. Vesa was ranked 32. Every member of his team stood inside the top 80. Their combined official rating was B. Ours did not reach D. Elin looked at Jory. This is the special fair test? Special approval requires special evidence. The stands began filling. Roland appeared in the front row with his ankle wrapped. He shouted, Try tripping 4 people! I only need to trip the loudest one, I answered. The students around him laughed. Good. Yesterday's lesson had survived the night. The match used capture rules. Each side had a crystal pillar. Break the enemy crystal or force all 4 opponents out, and you won. That mattered. We did not have to be stronger.
We had to understand the real fight better. I watched Vesa warm up and spent my last useful mana. Official level 24. True level 17. Power 106. Stamina 62. Class Flame Lance. Potential B. A silver mark glowed under his collar.
The same enhancement pattern I had seen in Roland. I gathered my team. We cannot win a direct fight. Kiro nodded. Excellent start. Ellen, can your thread touch 2 people? For a few seconds. Tavi, can you hold Vesa? No. Can you make him waste time moving you? Yes. Kiro, can you reach their crystal? If nobody hits me, then we make everyone hit somebody else. Kiro smiled. That speech was better. Before the bell, Jory addressed the stands.
The ranking office reminds spectators that this is only an eligibility test. We do not recommend tournament expectations for unqualified students.
He wanted everyone to remember that when we lost. The bell rang. Vesa attacked me first. A spear of orange flame crossed the arena. I moved behind Tavi. Tavi planted both feet and raised a cracked practice shield. The flame hit. He slid backward almost 2 meters. He stayed standing. The crowd stopped laughing. Vesa fired again. Tavi slid again, still standing. Someone in the stands shouted his name. Vesa's expression changed. Ellen. Her pale thread wrapped around Tavi's wrist and mine. She pulled once. Signal. Kiro moved. Most of the crowd looked in the wrong place. One defender chased him, then a second. Kiro ran toward the left wall, waited for both to commit, then reversed so sharply they nearly collided. The stands screamed. Vesa looked back for 1 second. Ellen's thread touched his ankle. She could not hold him. She only shifted his next step by a handspan. His third flame spear missed. I ran past him. Tavi dropped the shield and wrapped both arms around Vesa's waist. Vesa dragged him across the sand like a very determined piece of furniture. The crowd went wild. Kiro reached the enemy crystal. A defender struck him with wind. He rolled and lost his breath. Jory exhaled near the sideline. Too early. Kiro, right side! I had not appraised the defender, but I had watched him warm up.
Every defensive turn started from his left leg. Kiro attacked left. The defender shifted. Kiro reversed right. His palm struck the crystal. A crack appeared. The arena went silent for 1 heartbeat. Then Vesa roared and threw Tavi off. His enhancement flared. Because I had already seen his truth, I felt the numbers change without paying mana. Power 106 became 120 for 3 seconds. Then 99. The medicine was collapsing. Now! Elin released every thread. Tavi charged again. I ran at Vesa from the other side. He chose me. Of course he did. A flame lance formed in his hand. I could not block it, so I fell down. The spell passed over my head. The front rows screamed, then laughed when they realized I was alive. Vesa stared at me on the sand. What are you doing? Winning. Behind him, Kiro hit the crystal a second time. It shattered. The arena bells exploded. The board changed. Qualification complete. Team Aren approved. The board replayed the result on the side crystals. Kiro striking the pillar, Tavi being dragged through the sand, me falling under Vesa's spell on purpose. Each replay made the stands louder. Students who had refused to sit near us in the Hall of Patrons were now arguing over which move had decided the match. One boy near Roland shouted that our combined level was still lower than Vesa's public level alone. Another answered that this only made the result worse for the ranking office. Vesa walked toward Jory, then stopped halfway. He looked at his own silver enhancement mark, at the broken crystal, and finally at me. You knew my power would fall. I knew it was not yours. That sentence reached the front rows. The noise changed again. Several students touched the silver marks on their own wrists. Roland covered his with his sleeve. Jory saw them do it, and for the first time he looked less angry than worried. 500 people stood at once. Tavi was on his knees. Elin had no mana left. Kiro hugged the broken crystal. Roland stared with his mouth open. Jory did not move. Vesa looked at me. You never fought us. It was a capture match. That was a trick. No, it was reading the rules. The laughter from the stands hit him harder than any punch we could have thrown. Jory stepped forward. Too many witnesses were watching for him to do anything else. The ranking office confirms the result. Team Aaron is approved. Our preliminary team seed appeared at 64. My personal rank rose from 301st to 248. My level rose from 5 to 7. Power went from 37 to 44. Mana increased from 13 to 16. Elin reached level 7. Tavi reached 8. Kiro reached 10. Strength had moved. The qualification prize paid 5 gold to an underdog team that defeated a B-rated opponent. After our registration cost, our shared funds stood at 5 gold and 3 silver. Money had moved. By evening, half the auxiliary dormitory knew our names, and students were waiting outside my room asking for private evaluations. Status had moved too. I accepted 3 students who agreed to be seen and charged 20 silver each. 2 were exactly what the academy claimed. The third had a C-rank class with B-rank potential if he stopped forcing speed training. I earned 60 silver for 6 mana. The line outside my room doubled after that. I had to write a rule on a scrap of wood and hang it on the door. No promises of S-rank, no refunds because someone disliked the truth. 2 mana for a willing basic appraisal, 6 only when I was strong enough to look deeper. I still refused more people than I accepted. My eyes hurt after every few readings, and I was not going to blind myself on the second day because rich students had suddenly discovered curiosity. Even that refusal improved my reputation. By sunset, students were saying I did not sell flattering answers. Savvy told me the prediction booth had started tracking a new category called Aaron Verified Fighters. I told him to remove my name. He offered me 10%. I told him to spell it correctly. Yesterday morning, I had owned 7 copper. That evening, I owned 2 gold and 63 silver after team expenses. Kiro wanted to celebrate at an expensive restaurant. Ellen read the menu and dragged him away by the collar. We bought a black iron pot instead. Tavi cooked. He sliced pork thin, fried it until the edges browned, then added cabbage, garlic, sauce, and thick noodles. Steam filled the storage room. The leaning wardrobe disappeared behind it. Kiro ate 3 bowls. Ellen guarded the 4th with both hands. Tavi sat on the floor because we still had 1 chair. For the first time, the room did not feel like punishment housing. It felt like ours. People kept passing the laundry yard just to look through the open door. We heard the whispers. The lowest-ranked team had beaten Vesa. The porter had stopped 3 flame lances. The failed lantern mage controlled battlefield threads. The roof sleeper had broken the crystal. Facts walked. Rumors ran. Ellen put down her bowl. Do you like people knowing your name? I thought about my portrait at the bottom of the board. I like that the board cannot pretend nothing happened. She nodded. That was why she had been the first person I trusted. She did not want applause. She wanted reality to leave evidence. A knock came at the door. Savvy stood outside holding a fresh tournament sheet. They posted tomorrow's first official round. Kiro reached for it with greasy fingers. Ellen slapped his hand away. Our team was on the left. Our opponent was on the right. First seed. The Academy's highest-ranked student team. Their average official level was 31. Ours was 8. Tavi stopped eating. Savvy lowered his voice. Jory assigned the brackets himself. At the bottom of the sheet was another notice. Any public accusation of false ranking would trigger immediate verification and possible expulsion for defamation. I read it twice. I had not accused anyone publicly. Not yet. Which meant Jory was afraid of something I had not even said. The blind god whispered behind my eyes. An office never lies alone. By sunrise, our first official match had become the only subject anyone wanted to discuss. The Academy's first seed had won the last 2 annual tournaments. Their leader, Doran, was ranked first among students. His official level was 34. Mine was 7. Our betting odds were 12-1. Kiro looked at the number. I finally have money. This feels dangerous. It is dangerous, Elin said. He put 2 silver on us anyway.
I did not bet. I needed my mana more than I needed a ticket. The main arena held 2,000 people, and every seat was full. The public ranking board hung above the sand.
Doran's team entered first. Doran did not laugh when he saw us. He bowed.
I watched your qualification, he said. You use the rules well.
That was the idea.
I hope you understand this match will be different.
I do.
He meant it as respect. That made him more dangerous than Roland. I appraised him. Official level 34. True level 22. Power 138. Mana 161. Class Thunder Crown. Potential A. 12 false levels. A silver line circled his wrist. It matched the enhancement marks I had seen on Roland and Vesa, only cleaner and more expensive. Before I could speak, Jory entered with 3 officials and yesterday's red notice. His voice filled the arena. Any student who publicly claims a registered level is fraudulent must submit the claim before the match. A false claim means tournament expulsion and disciplinary review. He looked directly at me. It was a trap built for one person. So I stepped into it.
I have a claim. The stands became quiet. Jory's eyes sharpened.
State it. Doran is not level 34.
Doran went still. What level do you claim? Jory asked.
22.
2,000 people started talking at once. Jory raised a hand.
Verification will proceed.
A black crystal was rolled onto the sand. Unlike normal ranking stones, it created a cleansing field before reading natural level. Temporary blessings, stimulants, and borrowed artifacts were suppressed for 30 seconds. Jory had written that rule himself. Doran stepped into the field. Silver light peeled from his wrist. The crystal brightened. The board changed. Level 22. The number stayed on the board long enough for everyone to understand it. 12 levels had vanished in one cleansing field. A group of lower-ranked students began comparing the result with their own losses. One shouted that he had broken a rib fighting a supposed level 29 student.
Another demanded to know whether scholarship cuts had been based on the same inflated board. Teachers in the upper gallery stopped whispering and started taking notes. Doran did not look embarrassed. He looked angry, but not at me. He turned his bare wrist over and over as if seeing the silver seal for the first time. That reaction mattered more than the number. The Academy's strongest student had just discovered that even his own success had been packaged for him by adults. The arena stopped breathing. A metal cup fell in the upper gallery and bounced down 3 steps. Then the crowd exploded. Roland stood so quickly that his chair fell. Students shouted from every section. How can first rank be wrong by 12? Check the others! Was last year false too? Jory shouted for order. Nobody listened. Doran stared at his wrist. My family physician said the silver seal counted as permanent cultivation support. It does under Academy regulation, Jory said. Then why does your verification field remove it? I asked.
The noise changed from shock to suspicion. Jory's jaw tightened. We calculate competitive ratings using sanctioned resources. Then call it a resource rating. Do not call it the student. The lower-ranked sections began pounding their feet against the stands. Doran turned to Jory. Did you know my natural level? Jory hesitated. That was enough. Doran removed the silver seal completely. I fight at 22. You may restore it, Jory said. No, Doran faced me. If I win naturally, nobody can say my place came from my wrist. I nodded. Good. The verification crystal flashed again. The black coin in my pocket became hot. The blind god whispered. A number exposed before witnesses becomes judgment. My class advanced from Eye of Truth to Heavenly Appraiser. I gained no attack spell and no free strength. My single gift simply opened one layer deeper on a willing target. I could now see the first condition needed to awaken a hidden class. The price was 6 mana. I looked at Tavi. Do you trust me? You found my real class. That was not the question.
Yes. 6 mana vanished. Pain crossed my forehead. Warm blood touched my lip. Elin frowned. You are bleeding. I noticed. Tavi's hidden condition became clear. He had to remain between a stronger enemy and 3 chosen allies through 3 full attacks without magical reinforcement. I wiped the blood away. Tavi. 3 hits from Doran. He stared at me. That sounds unhealthy. It probably is. Kiro raised a hand. Do I have an evolution condition for not doing unhealthy things? Not today. The match was direct elimination. Doran's natural level was 22. His teammates were 20, 19, and 18 after their seals were removed. Our levels were 7, 7, 8, and 10. Even with honest numbers, they were stronger. The bell rang.
Doran's first lightning strike crossed the arena. Tavi planted both feet in front of us and raised his cracked shield. The hit drove him backward almost 2 meters. He stayed standing. 1, the crowd shouted. Doran's teammates moved. Kiro drew the fastest one sideways while Elin's thread caught Kiro's belt and changed his direction before a blade reached him. Doran sent the second attack. A white ring collapsed forward and hit Tavi's chest. His shield broke. He went down on one knee. Elin lifted her hand. Do not reinforce him, I shouted. Her thread stopped. Tavi looked at me from the sand. You could have mentioned that sooner. I was busy bleeding. He stood. 2. Now the entire arena was counting. Doran heard it. You are waiting for something. Yes. What? Hit him and find out. Doran gathered mana. His third strike came down as a thick column of lightning. For 1 second, I saw only white. Then the light vanished. Tavi was still there. Smoke rose from his sleeves. His knees shook. 3. A deep pulse crossed the arena like a heartbeat under the sand. Tavi straightened. Heavy Porter disappeared from the public board. Iron Pulse replaced it. His level jumped from 8 to 12 as years of wrongly trained strength finally aligned with the class built to use it. His active endurance rose above 120. The arena lost its mind. Students stood on benches screaming his new class name. Jory stared at the board. Doran smiled. So that is what you were waiting for? Yes. He attacked again. Tavi caught the lightning on his forearm and moved half a step. Nothing more. Our fight changed. We still had less raw power, but now we had a center. Tavi advanced. Elin used him as an anchor, stretching light thread from his wrist to Kiro. Every pull became a signal. Kiro moved too fast for his official class. His mirror step was still dormant, but his true agility made 2 opponents chase the wrong angles. I watched real stamina and mana fall. Kiro, second fighter, make him turn twice. Kiro attacked left. The fighter turned once. Kiro reversed, twice. His footing broke. Elin pulled his wrist while Tavi hit him from the side. He crossed the boundary. 1 opponent out. The board flashed and the crowd screamed. Doran answered with a lightning arc that caught Kiro in the chest. Kiro rolled twice and tried to stand. His legs failed. 3 against 3. From outside the line, Kiro shouted, I contributed emotionally! Even Doran laughed. The next enemy rushed Elin. I stepped between them. My power was 44. His was above 100. I blocked 1 strike with my wooden sword. The sword snapped and my arm went numb. That half second was enough. Elin's thread pulled me backward. Tavi arrived from the side and hit the attacker like a moving door. The fighter left the arena. 2 opponents out. My recognized combat contribution pushed me from level 7 to 8. Power rose from 44 to 48. Not enough to become strong. Enough to matter. Doran and 1 teammate remained. Elin's mana was low. Tavi's new endurance was falling. I had 7 mana left. Doran still had almost 50. He looked at me. You said 22 before the crystal. How? My god is blind. That explains nothing. It explains more than you think. The last teammate attacked Elin.
She let him come close, looped thread around his ankle, then connected the other end to Tavi's wrist. Tavi moved. The attacker lost one step. I kicked loose sand into the place where his next foot should land. He slipped. Elin pushed him over the boundary with both hands. She weighed less than he did. The crowd did not care. 3 out. Doran stood alone. His mana fell to 32. Tavi advanced from the front. Elin spread 2 threads from the side. I walked toward him with half a wooden sword. Doran looked at the 3 of us, then at the honest level above his name. He laughed. Fine. Let us see what 22 is worth. He fought for another minute. He knocked me down twice. He burned Tavi's sleeve. He broke one of Elin's threads. Then his mana fell to 9. Tavi caught his final punch. Elin wrapped a thread around his wrist. I hooked his ankle. Doran looked down. You really like that move. It has a good return on investment. He fell. Tavi pushed him across the boundary. The bell rang. Our names moved to the winner side of the public board. Team Aaron advanced. 2,000 witnesses stood and shouted. Roland did not laugh. Vesa did not laugh. Students who had mocked us 2 days ago were now chanting Iron Pulse. Jory tried to leave. Tournament officials stopped him. Doran walked straight toward him before the healers finished checking his arm. How many students have sanctioned seals counted toward permanent level? The policy is legal, Jory said. That was not my question. The nearby stands became quiet. Jory looked around. 43? The arena exploded again. 43 students, not one bad reading. A system. Jory lifted his voice. The Academy receives funding based on competitive strength. Without enhancement, we lose city grants. Those grants pay healers, dormitories, and scholarships. Pride does not buy medicine. That quieted some people. For the first time, I understood his motive. He believed the lie kept the Academy alive. Then Savi shouted from the prediction booth. How much did families pay to get their seals approved? Silence returned. Jory hesitated. Doran's face hardened. My family paid 60 gold. Another student shouted that his family paid 40. A third said 75. The arena became a storm. The public board changed again. Ranking office records suspended pending audit. Jory's tournament authority removed until review. He stood beneath the notice while 2,000 people read it. Around him, students began removing enhancement seals voluntarily. Not all of them. Some were too afraid to lose scholarships or family approval. But 7 did it before leaving the arena. Every time a public level fell, the crowd reacted less with mockery and more with anger at the old board. Doran stepped beside me while healers wrapped his forearm. I thought the seal proved my family believed in me, he said. It proved they had 60 gold. He laughed once, without humor. Tomorrow I train at 22. That sounds harder. Good. Across the arena, Jory heard him. His face tightened. For the first time, the strongest student in the academy was publicly choosing a smaller number over the system Jory had defended. That was a defeat no audit report could hide. He stood beneath the notice while 2,000 people read it. Yesterday, he had changed a rule to stop me. Today, his own rule had opened the floor under his feet. Our victory prize was 20 gold. The shared fund rose from 5 gold to 25 before medical costs. Savi paid Kiro 24 silver for his ridiculous 2 silver bet, and Kiro held the coins like a man seeing religion for the first time. My personal tournament payment was 4 gold. 3 private evaluations added 2 more before I stopped. My money passed 8 gold. My level reached 9 by the end of the day. Power rose to 52. Mana reached 21. My public rank jumped from 248 to 136. Elin reached level 9. Tavi reached 13 after his awakening. Kiro reached 11. Our team seed moved from 64 to 16. Strength, money, status, all 3 moved again. That evening, the Academy gave every top 16 team a meal voucher worth 1 gold.
Kiro tried to spend his whole share on pastries. We stopped him. The dining hall served thick beef stew with mushrooms, buttered carrots, roasted potatoes, and fresh bread with a crust that cracked under my fingers. Tavi ordered 2 bowls. Awakening a class had apparently created another stomach. Ellen cut a honey bun in half and pushed 1 piece toward me. For the bleeding. Healers usually recommend medicine. This tastes better. She was right. Outside the windows, students argued around the ranking board. Inside, our table was warm and loud. Kiro explained how his 2 silver bet made him a professional financier. Tavi ate his second bowl and pretended not to listen. Ellen's shoulder rested against mine because the bench was narrow. Neither of us moved away. For a few minutes, I forgot about Jory, false levels, and gods. Then every gate bell rang. 12 heavy strikes. The dining hall fell silent. A black carriage passed the windows toward the administration tower. Silver symbols covered its doors. Doran stood near the entrance with his arm bandaged. His face lost color. That is the Central Evaluation Office. The carriage stopped beneath the ranking board. A man stepped out in a dark coat. Savi whispered his name. Marin. The capital had heard about the scandal in less than a day. Marin looked up at the board. Then he looked through the dining hall window directly at me. He smiled. The blind god did not speak. For the first time since I received his gift, the black coin in my pocket became cold. Marin summoned me before breakfast. He did not use Jory's office. He used the main assembly hall. That told me everything I needed to know. Hundreds of students were already inside. Teachers lined the walls. The public ranking board had been lowered behind the stage, and 3 Central Evaluation Office clerks stood beside black verification crystals. Marin waited in the center. He was not old. That surprised me. I had expected gray hair and a face shaped by paperwork. Instead, he looked about 35, with calm eyes and a coat worth more than my old dormitory. Elin, Tavi, and Kiro entered with me. Marin looked at them. I requested Arin. They are my team. This is not a tournament matter. Then they are my breakfast witnesses. Kiro raised a meat bun. I am taking the role seriously. A few students laughed. Marin did not. He pointed at 4 chairs in the front row. You may stay. We sat. He began without wasting time. Yesterday, your statement caused the Academy's ranking office to be suspended. By midnight, 27 families had filed complaints. 11 city sponsors froze payments. The Academy could lose more than 800 gold this season. Nobody laughed now. Marin continued. Jory accepted private payments for accelerated seal approval. That is under investigation. However, sanctioned enhancement itself is legal. The capital uses competitive rating, not natural rating, to decide military grants. So the false numbers came from the capital too. They are not false. Doran's board said 34. Your cleansing crystal said 22. Both were measurements under different conditions. Only one was attached to his name all year. A murmur moved through the hall. Marin looked at the audience, then back at me. This is why uncontrolled divine evaluation is dangerous. A true number without context can create as much damage as a false one. That was not a stupid argument. I disliked that. He placed a document on the table. The central office offers you a provisional evaluator license, a scholarship of 200 gold, and immediate personal rank 50. The hall exploded in whispers. 200 gold could have bought months of food and training. But I looked at Aelin, Tavi, and Kiro. All 3 had lost years because an office trusted convenient labels more than people. If my findings had to pass through that same office before reaching the person they belonged to, the system had not changed. No. The hall became very quiet. Marin's expression did not move. You refused 200 gold? Kiro made a small, wounded sound. I ignored him. I refuse the part where you get to decide which truth reaches the person it belongs to. Marin folded the document. Then your class must be verified. Good.
That answer surprised him. 3 students were brought onto the stage wearing identical gray cloaks. Each had a silver veil ring designed to interfere with appraisal magic. Marin addressed the hall. One registered level among these 3 is artificially raised. Aaron claims he can see true characteristics. He will identify the false one and state the natural level. If he fails, his tournament participation is suspended until formal licensing review. Aelin stood. That condition was not announced. Marin did not look at her.
It is a public safety verification. I studied the 3 volunteers. The 3 public levels were 26, 28, and 30. I asked whether they consented to appraisal. Marin called the question irrelevant. All 3 volunteers raised their hands anyway, and the hall laughed. Consent reduced my cost enough to pierce the veil rings. The first student was honestly level 26. The second deep read exposed the student displayed as 30 as natural level 19, with the hidden class Glass Falcon. The student displayed as 30 is naturally level 19. The hall erupted before verification even began. Marin held up a hand. State the class? I looked again without spending a full appraisal. Once seen, the truth remained recognizable. Glass Falcon. The student's eyes widened. Her public record said Wind Archer. Marin's face changed for the first time. The black crystal rolled forward. Its cleansing field removed the veil ring and a thin gold seal hidden under the student's collar. The board changed. Level 19. Class Glass Falcon. The assembly hall exploded. Students stood. Teachers leaned forward. Someone in the back shouted my name. Marin did not argue with the crystal. That was why he was more dangerous than Jory. He adapted. Verification passed, he said. A central office clerk whispered to him. Marin listened, then looked at me. Your provisional evaluator license is granted without the scholarship condition. The board behind us updated. My class was now recognized by the central office. My public rank moved from 136 to 98 before I had thrown a single punch that day. Status moved first. Then Marin added, your tournament quarterfinal will serve as a second verification. The board changed again. Our scheduled opponent disappeared. A new name appeared. Davin's team. The hall reacted more loudly than it had to the false level. Doran, standing near the side wall, swore under his breath. I looked at him. Who is Davin? The Central Office Combat Cadet. Student? Technically. That word was never good. Davin entered through the rear doors with 3 fighters wearing plain dark uniforms. No noble jewelry, no silver enhancement seals, no performance smiles. They looked like people who trained because losing had consequences. Marin spoke over the noise. Central regulations allow an audit team to enter a compromised tournament bracket for comparative assessment. If Team Aaron wins, the office will pay 100 gold in audit compensation and certify the result. If they lose, their previous victories remain valid, but they leave the tournament. Kuro slowly put down his bun. 100 gold? Aelin elbowed him. What? I can respect danger and money at the same time. Davin stopped in front of me. He was about my height, with a scar through one eyebrow, and none of Roland's need to be admired. I heard you like true numbers, he said. Yes. Look. He consented before I asked. 2 mana. True level 28. Power 170. Endurance 143. Class Chain Knight. Potential S. No inflated rating. No borrowed seal. His public level was 28 too. I smiled. Davin frowned. Why are you happy? Your number is honest. That is a low standard. You arrived at an interesting time. He almost smiled. The match was set for afternoon. We had 4 hours. For the first time, I could not build a plan around an opponent being weaker than advertised. Davin's team was exactly as dangerous as the board said. Their lowest member was level 23. Our highest was Tavi at 13. We went back to the storage room. Kuro closed the door. So, we die after lunch?
No. Before? Aelin threw a towel at him. I looked at her.
Heavenly Appraiser could reveal one awakening condition on a willing target. I had enough recovered mana for one deep read before the match.
Ellen,
She understood immediately.
you want to look deeper.
Yes.
How much?
6.
Will you bleed again? Probably less if I eat. Tavi pushed a plate toward me. He had made fried eggs, thick toast, and slices of sausage left from the previous night. The egg yolks were soft. Butter melted into the bread. Garlic and pepper covered the sausage. Kiro reached for a piece. Tavi slapped his hand away. This is medical food. Kiro looked betrayed. I ate everything. Then I appraised Ellen. 6 mana vanished. Her hidden class opened deeper. Star Threader required her to keep 1 unbroken light thread touching 3 moving allies and 1 stronger enemy for 100 heartbeats while under active attack. I told her. She stared at me. 100? Yes. 4 moving people? Yes. While someone is trying to hit me?
Yes. Kiro raised his hand again. I would like to complain to the god who writes these conditions. So would I. We spent the next 3 hours practicing in the laundry yard. Elin's thread broke at 12 heartbeats, then 34, then 58. At 83, I moved too far and received a look that was more dangerous than Davin. Her last attempt reached 91, 9 short of the condition. The arena bells rang. 2,000 spectators returned for the quarterfinal, but now there were people outside the gates, too. News crystals from the city had been placed above the stands. Our fight was being shown in taverns and guild halls across the district. Marin sat beside the director's empty chair in the upper gallery. Jory was nowhere near the official's platform. That alone felt like progress. Davin's team entered. No one laughed when we entered the packed arena. Davin came straight for Tavi, and his steel mana chain drove Tavi backward with short, efficient strikes. Elin formed 1 thread to Tavi, 1 to Kiro, and 1 around my wrist. 3 allies were connected. Davin saw the pattern and ordered his team to break it. Now, Elin only needed the stronger enemy and 100 heartbeats. That was the first time an enemy had attacked our growth condition on purpose. A wind blade forced me in front of Elin, but the thread held. Davin dragged Tavi 3 steps with his chain. Kiro ran a wide arc while Elin fed light through her fingers. At 47 heartbeats, an enemy rushed me. I stepped aside at the last moment, shoved his shoulder, and let Elin's thread brush his sleeve. Stronger enemy connected. The condition activated. The fighter grabbed the light and pulled, but Tavi planted himself as an anchor. At 71 heartbeats, Davin changed targets. His chain wrapped around my ribs and threw me down. Elin shouted my name. I told her to keep the thread. Kiro kicked the chain sideways at 96. Elin's hands shook. Davin raised his fist to break the line at 99. Tavi caught his arm. 100. The thread flashed. Every strand of light in the arena went dark for 1 heartbeat. Then stars appeared. Not real stars. Tiny white points formed along Elin's thread, hundreds of them, each one sharp and bright. Her public class changed. Weak Lantern disappeared. Star Threader appeared. Her level rose from 9 to 14 as years of failed control aligned with the correct class. The audience erupted. Elin stared at her own hands. Then Davin's chain moved. Her thread caught it. For the first time, the light did not bend away from force. It redirected it. Davin's own chain pulled his teammate off balance. Kiro saw the opening and struck him out of bounds. 1 opponent gone. The crowd screamed louder. Marin stood in the upper gallery. The fight turned. Elin could not overpower Davin, but she could connect movement. Tavi became the anchor. Kiro became the knife. I became the person calling numbers. Davin, stamina below 100. He heard me. His eyes narrowed. Second fighter, mana below 30. That fighter hesitated. Kiro hit him from the side. Out. 2 gone. Davin knocked Tavi to 1 knee, Tavi stood. Elin looped star thread around Davin's chain. I ran inside his guard. He looked at my foot. No. Yes. I hooked his ankle. This time it was not enough by itself. Tavi pushed from the front. Elin pulled from the side. Davin crossed the boundary by half a step. The referee's flag rose. The arena exploded. Davin looked down at the line, then at me. You built a whole team around annoying people. Yes. He laughed and offered his hand. I took it. His final teammate lasted another 40 seconds. Then Kiro drove him out. The bell rang. Team Aren advanced to the semi-final.
The Central Office Audit Board lit green. Results certified. Audit compensation, 100 gold. The sound from the stands became physical. Students shouted, teachers stood. Even Doran was pounding one fist against the railing. Marin remained standing beside his chair. I looked up at him. He had tried to turn our tournament run into a controlled verification. Now his own capital board certified our win in front of the city. He could not erase it without erasing his office too. That was the third public humiliation in the ladder, and Marin knew it. He came down to the arena himself. The result stands, he announced. No excuse, no delay. Team Aaron receives 100 gold and semi-final status. Aaron's evaluator license remains valid. The crowd cheered the sentence like another victory. Our shared fund jumped above 120 gold even after equipment and healing expenses. Savi found us before we left the arena and waved a city news sheet in my face. The headline called us the Blind Team. Kiro loved it. Elin hated it. Tavi asked whether headlines paid money. Savi said, not usually. Tavi lost interest immediately. My quarter share and evaluator fees pushed my personal money above 30 gold. My level rose from 9 to 11. Power climbed from 52 to 61. Mana rose to 26. Elin reached level 15 after her awakening. Tavi reached 14. Kiro reached 13. My public rank moved from 98 to 71. Team status moved from a strange tournament accident to a certified semi-finalist. Strength, money, status. The numbers no longer looked small. That evening, the Academy offered us rooms in the main combat dormitory. Kiro wanted the rooms. Tavi wanted the training access. Elin looked at our old storage building. I spent 8 gold from my share to have the roof repaired, buy 4 proper beds, a table, chairs, and a small iron stove. Kiro stared at the new furniture. You spent 8 gold to stay behind the laundry? Yes. Why? I pointed at the new wardrobe. It stands straight. He considered this. Worth it. We cooked river fish on the stove. Tavi rubbed the skin with salt and herbs until it turned crisp. Aylin made rice with butter and green onions. Kiro bought sweet milk rolls and, for once, shared them. Rain tapped against the repaired roof. No water came through. That felt more luxurious than the capital carriage. Aylin sat beside me at the new table. You refused 200 gold this morning. I remember. And spent 8 gold on a roof. I remember that too. She smiled. I am trying to understand you. That seems expensive. Her shoulder touched mine. Maybe. A knock interrupted us. Marin stood outside alone. Nobody invited him to dinner. He looked past me at the repaired room, then handed me a sealed semi-final document. The bracket is valid. I am not here to change it. Good. He did not leave. What? I asked. Marin lowered his voice. You think this is about corrupt rankings? It started there. No, that is the part you can see. His eyes moved to the black coin hanging from a cord around my neck. I searched the central office archive for your patron. The blind god's record was not lost. The rain sounded suddenly louder. It was deleted. Aylin stood behind me. By whom? Marin looked toward the administration tower. I found only one surviving order. It was signed by a director of this academy more than 200 years ago.
He turned back to me. If you reach the final tomorrow, Director Norin will meet you personally. Marin's face was completely serious. Do not appraise him. I slept badly after Marin's warning. Not because I was afraid of Director Norin, because Kiro had discovered the new beds were soft enough to snore on. At dawn, Aylin threw a pillow at him. He caught it without waking. Tavi looked at me across the room. Hidden class?
Natural talent. The semifinal began 3 hours later. Our semifinal opponent was led by Yara, an honest level 21 wind fighter. Her team had watched every match and announced their plan before the bell. Ignore Tavi's strength, break Aylin's thread, and remove Kiro first. Kiro looked offended until I used 6 mana to reveal his hidden condition. Mirror Step would awaken if he survived a 3-step pursuit from a stronger opponent by copying the path in reverse. Yara attacked him immediately. She cut right, then forward, then used a burst of wind to cross 3 meters. Kiro mirrored left, backward, then kicked off the arena rail and landed where Yara had started. Her 4th strike hit empty air. Quick Hand vanished from the public board. Mirror Step appeared. His level rose from 13 to 16. The stadium exploded. For the 3rd time in 3 days, a class the Academy had called worthless changed in front of thousands of witnesses. The public board hesitated before assigning Mirror Step a provisional high-rank marker. Students from the auxiliary dormitory started chanting Kiro's name. He heard them, looked toward the stands, and nearly forgot Yara was still attacking him. Yara's next strike passed through a delayed image. Kiro appeared behind her with his eyes wide, surprised by his own speed. He tapped her shoulder, whispered an apology, and pushed. She crossed the boundary, landed outside laughing, and told us she hated all of us. Kiro bowed to the auxiliary section like a famous hero. Then he tripped over the boundary rope on the way back. The crowd laughed with him instead of at him. That difference was small, but I noticed it. Her remaining team fought for 4 hard minutes. They broke Aylin's thread 3 times and forced Tavi from the center twice, but Kiro's awakened movement made isolation impossible. One by one, they crossed the line. The semifinal bell rang. Team Arin advanced to the final. My level rose from 11 to 12. Power reached 65 and mana 29. Kiro reached 17, Aylin 16, Tavi 15. The semifinal prize added 40 gold, pushing our shared fund above 160 gold. 5 days earlier, I had owned 7 copper. Now even my bad decisions had a budget. Then the black coin around my neck became warm. The blind god spoke. A talent found is not a talent saved. My class changed one final time. Heavenly Appraiser became Talent Seeker. The gift remained the same gift. I still saw true level, true class, and potential. I still paid mana to look deeper. But now, a willing deep appraisal showed one more thing. Not only the condition that opened a path, it showed the nearest choice that could permanently damage that path. Potential was not destiny. A person could waste it. That truth felt heavier than every number I had seen before. We had 4 hours before the final. Tira's team waited on the other side of the bracket. Tira was natural level 25 with the honest class Sunspear. One of her teammates was Roland. He found us at lunch without red armor or friends behind him. The silver enhancement seal was still on his wrist. If I remove this, do I ever reach 22 naturally? He asked. That was not the question he would have asked 5 days ago. I asked for consent and spent 6 mana. Talent Seeker showed his potential remained B, but another major tournament with the seal would damage his natural channels and lower that ceiling to C. If he removed it now, greatness was not guaranteed, but the path remained open. I told him in front of the dining hall. Roland stared at the seal, then tore it from his wrist. His public level fell from 22 to 14. Nobody laughed. Doran raised his cup from the wall, and other students followed. Roland looked at me. I still plan to beat you. Good. And if you use the ankle hook again, I will kick you in the face. Also fair. He left with Tira. Kiro uncovered the plate of fried dumplings he had been protecting. The bottoms were crisp, the filling hot with pork and ginger, and Elin stole one from my plate while denying it with a full mouth. For 20 quiet minutes, we were only 4 tired students eating too much lunch. Then the final bell rang. The expanded arena held more than 4,000 people. News crystals floated over the walls, carrying the final to taverns, guild halls, and the capital. Director Norin sat in the highest balcony for the first time all week. Marin sat nearby and slowly shook his head when he saw me looking up. I remembered his warning and turned away. Not yet. Tira's team entered with no false numbers and no temporary seals. She had studied us well. At the bell, white prism ash burst across the sand and Elin's first light thread died. A barrier split Tavi away from us. Their third fighter denied Kiro open space instead of chasing him. Roland came straight for me with his honest level 14. His first punch missed. His second hit my shoulder. He kept his stance wide. "No ankle," he said. "You remembered." I had bruises. Across the arena, Tira used narrow spear strikes instead of heavy force, making Iron Pulse move rather than anchor. For the first minute, we lost every exchange. The crowd grew quiet. Then Elin looked at the prism ash and smiled. Instead of sending light through the air, she ran a star thread along the shadow under the barrier. The mineral scattered light above the ground, not beneath it. A white point touched Tavi's boot on the far side. The crowd exploded. Connection restored. Tavi shifted with Elin's pull. Kiro used Mirror Step to appear behind the barrier specialist and struck the back of his knee. The wall vanished. Elin's threads spread across the arena. Roland looked over for half a second. I punched him. "That was cheap," he said. "Yes." Tira used Sun Step again. Because I had appraised her, I saw the cost. Her mana fell by 28 each time. After the third use, she had 96 left. I shouted the number. She stopped spending the skill. That was useful too. A fighter afraid of wasting mana moved differently. Tira changed targets and came for me. Her spear cut my sleeve, then grazed my shoulder. I could not beat her directly, so I ran toward the prism ash. Roland shouted from across the arena that he had seen this plan before. 4,000 people laughed. Tira followed me into the ash. I let her spend another Sun Step. Her mana fell to 35. Aelin's hidden ground thread caught my ankle, Tavi's wrist, and Kiro's shoulder. Tira could not see any of it. I pulled once. Kiro mirrored Tira's movement path from the left. Tavi hit from the right. Elin pulled me backward, and Tira's stance narrowed for 1 instant. I hooked her ankle. Roland shouted, "I warned you!" Tira did not fall, but her balance shifted. Tavi's shoulder finished the job. Kiro pulled from the opposite side, and Tira crossed the boundary. The referee flag rose. The captain was out. The arena became thunder. Tira landed outside, stared at the line, then laughed. "I studied every match except the stupid first one." "That was your mistake," Roland shouted. Without Tira, the fight became even. Their barrier specialist trapped Tavi for half a minute. Their third fighter predicted Kiro's reverse step and knocked him out. Elin answered by pulling the barrier mage across his own wall. Soon, only Roland and one teammate remained. Roland and I faced each other again. 5 days earlier, his public level had been 22 and mine 4. Now he was honest level 14 and I was 12. He still had the stronger body. I had 5 days of being hit by better people. He pushed me toward the boundary. My heel touched the line. The crowd stood. Then Elin's last thread reached my wrist from across the arena and pulled sideways. Roland's punch missed. I stepped around him and shoved him toward the line. Kiro, already eliminated, shouted, "Ankle!" Roland looked down by reflex. There was no hook. He looked back at me with pure betrayal. I pushed again. He crossed the line. The stadium exploded. Roland landed outside and shouted something the amplification stones wisely refused to repeat. The last fighter held for another minute. Tavi caught his weapon. Elin tied his wrist. I opened the angle. Tavi pushed. The final bell rang. The ranking board changed. Champion, Team Aren.
For one heartbeat, I only stared at the word. 5 days earlier, the same board had placed me at 327 and reduced my allowance to 30 copper while the hall laughed. Now, 4,000 people were on their feet. The auxiliary students climbed the railing. Savi threw prediction tickets into the air. Doran shouted Tavi's name. Yara shouted Kiro's. Roland stood outside the arena laughing despite himself.
Elin reached me first. She did not make a speech. She simply grabbed the front of my uniform and pressed her forehead against my shoulder for 1 second before the others crashed into us. Tavi nearly broke my ribs with a hug. Kiro climbed onto Tavi's back and shouted that he had always believed in our financial strategy. The arena announcer tried to read our names. Nobody could hear him. Students were chanting them separately now. Elin, Tavi, Kiro, Aren. Then all four together. I looked toward the lower auxiliary section. Several students I had appraised during the week were standing there. The stone palm student held up both hands to show me he had stopped speed training. 2 others had removed silver seals. Even Vesa stood with his old team, no enhancement mark visible at his collar. That was when I understood the real victory. We had not only climbed the board, we had made the board less important. Jory watched under audit supervision while the same ranking system that had placed me last now moved my portrait to tournament champion, licensed evaluator, public rank 43. He did not look angry anymore. He looked tired. When our eyes met, he gave one small nod. I returned it. He had protected a bad system for reasons that were not entirely bad. The audit would decide what that was worth. Marin remained near the officials' platform, surrounded by capital clerks who were recording every natural level change. He had arrived to contain a scandal. Instead, he was now certifying a new standard in front of the city. That was a public defeat, but not a useless one. He knew it too. My level rose from 12 to 15. Power climbed from 65 to 74. Mana reached 33. Elin reached 18. Tavi reached 17. Kiro reached 18. The championship prize was 250 gold. After division, healing, equipment, and our reserve, my personal wealth passed 80 gold while the shared funds stayed above 200. 5 days earlier, I had counted copper before buying a wooden sword. Now merchants shouted equipment offers from outside the gate. Strength, money, status. All 3 had climbed together. Just not quietly. Marin came onto the sand with the championship medals. He placed mine in my hand instead of around my neck. You are difficult to regulate. I have heard worse. I believe that. Then he looked toward the highest balcony. Director Noren's chair was empty. Marin's expression changed. He is waiting. I knew where. Before I left the arena tunnel, Elin caught my sleeve and handed me half a warm honey pastry. Crushed nuts stuck to the filling and a little salt sat on the crust. Marin was afraid when he warned you, she said. I know. So am I. I covered her hand with mine for 1 second. Outside, thousands of people were still shouting our names. I will look carefully. That is exactly what worries me. I finished the pastry and went upstairs. Director Noren's office occupied the top floor of the administration tower. No guards waited outside. The door was open. Noren stood beside a wide window overlooking the arena. From there, the crowd looked small enough to fit in a bowl. He turned when I entered. Congratulations, Aren. Thank you. You changed more in 5 days than most students change in 5 years. I had useful information. So I noticed. His voice was gentle. That made Marin's warning worse. Noren poured tea into 2 cups. I did not drink mine. He smiled. Good. Cautious. You wanted to see me? I wanted to see what the blind god chose. The black coin became cold again. Noren's eyes dropped to it. So he still uses that token. You know him? I know of him. Why were his records deleted? Noren looked back toward the arena. Because some truths are dangerous, even when they are accurate. That sounds like Marin. He learned it here. I almost laughed. Then I remembered the warning. Do not appraise him. Noren lifted his tea.
You want to look. It was not a question. I said nothing. He continued, your gift has a cost. You know that. Looking at a student costs mana. Looking at a trained official costs more. Looking at something protected by an old oath can cost more than mana. What does it cost? Sometimes years. The room became very still. That was not enough to stop me. Maybe it should have been, but the blind god had not chosen me to trust labels. I looked. At first, nothing happened. Then pain struck behind both eyes. Not 6 mana, not 10. 20 points disappeared at once. My knees nearly failed. I grabbed the back of the chair. Blood ran from my nose. Norin did not move. Stop, he said. I kept looking.
My remaining mana fell from 13 to 9, then 5. The truth finally broke through. Director Norin, true level 87, true mana unreadable beyond 1000, public class Grand Scholar. False. The real class appeared in my mind. Servant of the Celestial Prison. My hand tightened around the chair. Another truth followed. Not potential, a countdown. 341 days until prisoner release threshold. My vision went black for half a second. When it returned, Norin was standing directly in front of me. His gentle expression was gone. You should have listened to Marin. I wiped blood from my mouth. What is the Celestial Prison? Norin looked down at the floor. Something deep beneath the tower answered with a slow vibration. Once, like a heartbeat. The tea in both cups trembled. Then the blind god spoke inside my head. His voice was no longer tired. It was awake. At last. You found the jailer. I looked at Norin. Who is the prisoner? For the first time, the director looked afraid. The vibration came again, stronger. Dust fell from the ceiling. Far below us, under the academy, something enormous shifted in its sleep. Norin whispered, not your god. The black coin around my neck cracked down the center. A thin line of white light opened inside it like an eye. The blind god laughed softly. Now you understand why I needed someone who could see.